Hello and welcome to this edition of Africa Speaks. Today is the 26th of August 2015. My name is Joy Doreen Bira and glad you are watching from across the East African region. Our hashtag this evening is Africa Speaks. Now, today on the show, we are going to be focusing on natural hair. There's been a lot of talk about whether or not ladies should really wear their hair natural, especially on the African continent. And that has formed quite a great debate. And today we are going to be asking the questions about whether or not African hair is acceptable globally. And, you know, a lot of people have been asking questions on whether or not straight hair is what is standard or considered good. So I have Josephine Wanjohi in studio, who is the founder for Chale Diaries. And I also have Caro Ayola, who is one of the naturalistas and part of the Chale Diaries as well. But they are career ladies and they wear their hair natural. So they're going to be speaking to us about that. But also we are going to be talking about issues happening in South Sudan. So let's get started. What you're seeing here on our wall is just a few of the popular women across Africa who wear their hair natural. And we'll start with the First Lady of Kenya, that is Margaret Kenyatta, a caricature cartoonist, I should say, Gams, is who put all of this together. And then we have Lupita Nyong'o right here. We have Janet Museveni, who is the First Lady of Uganda. And we have Graça Machel, who is Nelson Mandela's wife. So we are going to be talking natural hair, but let's start with South Sudan. And of course, it was a deal after so many failed agreements that happened between the two rivaling parties. Now, South Sudan President Salva Kiir today signed a deal that will see him and his biggest rival, Riek Machar, work together under a power-sharing deal following pressure from, among other countries, the United States and the East African IGAD countries. While his former Vice President Riek Machar agreed and signed a power-sharing deal on 17th of August, President Salva Kiir only agreed to the deal as late as 4:58 p.m. this evening. And he said that he had reservations on parts of the power-sharing deal. One of them was the demilitarization of capitals and also the power-sharing ratio that was not justifiable, as well as the two armies and having two commanders-in-chief among the issues that were put out in the power-sharing deal as well. Now, there is quite a lot that we can talk about when it comes to the issue of the power-sharing deal in South Sudan. And let's just take a look at some of those issues right there. Among the issues in the power-sharing deal, the rebels are supposed to get a post of the first vice president. And in this case, we're going to see Riek Machar as well, I guess, taking this position, knowing that he is the lead of the rivals on the other side. And then also, secondly, in the power-sharing deal, elections are to be held 60 days before the end of the transitional government's mandate. And those are some of the other issues. Then also fighting to stop immediately, that is between the two rivaling parties. And if we look at also some other issues regarding the power-sharing deal that are involved, is that South Sudan as well will go to elections, I think 60 days before the end of the transitional governments. But also what we are going to see is that prisoners are going to be freed, and also the armies are going to be returned to barracks. Now, that is one of the issues that did bring a lot of consultations and probably what delayed the signing of the deal, because President Salva Kiir was not comfortable having two armies present in the country, and so he requested that at least this issue be dealt with before he can agree to any sort of deal. But we'll be having more updates during KTN Prime, and so you can stick around for that. And now let's take a look at South Sudan still. We have the South Sudan ambassador to Kenya, that is Mariano Deng, who is joining us now via phone. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, would like to find out from you, what does this mean now that President Salva Kiir has signed the deal? What do we expect going forward?
President has signed the agreement with a reservation, and that means areas of agreement that will be implemented accordingly on time will be implemented. And areas that he has serious reservation, for example, the relocation of National Army from the capital to the distance of 25 kilometers in a month,
yes,
will not easily be achieved due to the fact that you have to prepare where they are going to be settled. You have to build accommodation. You have to create condition of living for their family, school, health facilities, and supply, and necessary storage for their equipment. This is obviously something that is practical, and everyone knows that you cannot move thousands of personnel within 1 month from the day of signing, which is today at 4:55 p.m.
Right, and also one of the issues to which President Salva Kiir had reservations was the issue of having 2 armies and 2 commanders-in-chief. Has that been sorted out?
That is also areas of serious reservation for practical reasons. 2 commander-in-chief in one country, commanding the 2 different armies in one country has never been tried before. And this is something that he needs to point out now, so that he is not considered later on if things don't run smoothly. This is a matter of being practical and honest to those who really love people of South Sudan to have peace. So there is a lot of consideration that has to be put in what he has a reservation upon, and how it will be done in order to accomplish the objective, which is a peace agreement that will bring peace dividends.
All right, and the issue of the power-sharing ratio not being justifiable, is there any lead on whether or not it has been amended?
Those are the issues too. We are concerned. The rebellion here was supported by a small section of the South Sudanese population. And therefore, you would have to listen to the majority as to how these will be perceived on the ground and how the population will actually be accommodated, the views. Peace is about listening and is about accommodating views of both who have rebelled and those who have been with government all along. We need to create a unanimity in agreement so that all other processes of settlement and reconstruction can take place smoothly in an atmosphere of trust and understanding.
Well, thank you so much, Ambassador. We do appreciate the update. That is Ambassador Mariano Deng, South Sudan Ambassador to Kenya, giving us an update on the signing of the deal that happened today at about 4:58 p.m. And we'll keep you up to date with what turns out in South Sudan. And the signing of the deal happened in the presence of the IGAD heads of state, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Haile Mariam Desalegn, as well as President Yoweri Museveni. But let's now get into that discussion that we are focusing on today. Beauty, they say, lies in the eyes of the beholder. But for some, it appears a woman's beauty is in her hair. And it is because of that that the hairstyling and beauty industry is now a multi-billion-dollar enterprise worldwide. But over the years, more African women are embracing their Afro-natural hair. So is it about embracing African roots, or is it about being trendy? And what does it take to maintain this hair? Just what makes hair beautiful? Today, there appears to be a growing trend among women to go natural, or in their words, to return to one's roots. In studio, I have with me Josephine Wanjohi, who is a customer care manager, and we also have Carol Ayola, who is a communications officer. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you for
having us. It's an honor to have you, beautiful ladies, join us for this discussion. I'll start with Josephine. What was the journey like? You know, your hair seems too curled up, and probably people would wonder, are you African or are you mixed race?
Yeah, I get that question a lot.
Yes.
My journey started about 3 years ago. I chopped everything out. I started from scratch, as they say, the big chop. And yeah, so it's been a journey of discovery, a journey of why my hair does what it does naturally. I get that a lot. Are you Ethiopian? Are you half caste? You know, all that, yeah. But as far as I know, I'm fully Kikuyu. So my mom has the same hair, so as her mom, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Carol, what was your experience? Why did you even decide to go for the BC? You know, naturalistas have a lot of abbreviations. I'm told BC is the big chop. Why did you decide to go for that?
Yes, we have a lot of acronyms. So the big chop happened 3.5 years ago as well.
Yeah.
And it's because I'd gotten tired of my hair thinning out because of relaxer. And that's the time I think the natural hair world, if we could say, was starting to pick up. So I went on YouTube and you're seeing all these YouTube vloggers having this beautiful natural hair. And I said, it wouldn't hurt. It's just hair. It will grow. So that's when I just thought.
Have you been told, you know, at some point that your hair is looking too African, so you probably don't need to wear it that way?
Not really. For me, it's mostly the fascination because there's always this perception that African hair is, you know, like more kinky, more compact, you know. So what is this that you have these curls that are happening? So for me, that's always the challenge of trying to say that, yes, it is like this, like I don't have to apply much or do much to get it this way. So it's like, hey, you must, you know, it's not accepted that African hair can actually be this way. So I'm like, oh yeah, but yeah, African.
All right, let's talk about wearing your hair natural in a workspace that is very formal. Carol, how has that experience been for you? Did you find it difficult for people to accept the fact that you had natural hair?
At first, you know, when you have the big chop, your hair looks a bit sort of like tidy, if I could say, because it's still short and you're really limited in terms of styles. But as it grows longer and you want to experiment and do all these kind of crazy things, and when I did the big chop, the sector I was in was not too formal. So at least I had a bit of leeway, but also I could not experiment to the extreme side. I could not just come and show up to work with some crazy hair.
Yeah.
I had to at least put it in some way. So it's not been, the transition was not too bad for me.
All right. Josephine, would you say the same? Did people probably think you couldn't afford, you know, to take care of your hair? That's why you decided to go natural.
Yeah, I remember because when I first chopped my hair, I had no idea whatsoever what to do with it. It's actually my husband who was like, why don't you leave it that way, you know? And I'm like, I don't know what to do with it, you know? So even my work colleagues saw me from when my hair was like this small. So we have grown together in this journey. So there are times my hair is out, sometimes, you know, I hold it back. So they're like, every day your hair changes, you know, like we never know what you're going to do tomorrow, you know? So yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people think that African hair is very difficult to deal with. It's very difficult to maintain. Even combing it is just, you know, one of those things you probably don't even have time for. If you're in a hurry and you have an afro, some people would actually say, you know what, just put a wig on your head and go on, you know. But do you believe that it's really difficult to maintain?
I think getting to know what your hair likes and what it doesn't like is the beginning, because in the beginning of the natural journey, everybody wants to use shea butter, everyone wants to slick their hair down with the gel, because that's what we see on YouTube and other social media, you know, with the natural hair movements, you know, in the West, So when you try that out and you're like, why isn't my hair behaving in a certain way? So there's that frustration. But once you understand, then it gets easier, as in, you know, as you discover new products as well. But yes, it can get intense, you know. A lot of DIY, you know, mixing avocados here, eggs there, you know.
I know.
Throwing on a shower
trying all the raw eggs.
Yes, so.
I know, I've been through that. But anyway, let's now connect to Dorothy Ngila, who is joining us from South Africa. Dorothy has locks, and she probably might want to share with us why she decided to go for the big chop. Dorothy, you want to share that experience with us? Okay, I think the person we have online now is Maxima Nsimenta, who quit her job. Maxima Nsimenta, who quit her job in the Democratic Republic of Congo and decided to start a company that could make products for African hair. Maxima, thank you so much for joining us. Maxima, can you hear me? All right, I think we'll be...
Hello?
Yes, Maxima,
Hello?
if you can hear me clearly, you quit your job in the Democratic Republic of Congo to start a company that makes products for natural hair.
Yes.
Why did you decide to do that?
This journey started 2 years ago. We have about 2 minutes of lag, so I'm a bit behind. But anyway, my natural hair journey started 2 years ago when I suddenly went to the town to look for a place where I could treat my hair. But then I wasn't able to find something for my natural self. So I got so beat sad about it that I went to work, thought about it, then went out of the office and just chopped it all off, completely off. And since then, I've been thinking and looking for ways in which I can take care of my hair personally from home, and then the ways in which I take care of my hair across the nation to other women. And through the different ways, through the different things I found out, I decided to come home to start a shea butter company producing products that are made specifically for our natural, beautiful African hair. So, yes.
All right. And so you started making
what I did, and I'm loving it.
All right. You started making shea butter. How affordable is it, knowing that it's specifically for the African ladies?
A can of shea butter costs around $4, which is pretty affordable for the middle class African lady. And since we started producing the product, they've actually bought and quite a lot by the African women. These products work for our hair and people are loving them. And the more people love them and know that they are actually effective, they get to appreciate their hair, and that alone is very beautiful and very inspiring for me.
All right, and so you say it's beautiful and inspiring for you, but when it comes to the issue of maintenance, do you think that this shea butter does help either soften the hair or make it easier to maintain?
The myth about African hair being difficult to maintain stands, yes, but then the issue is about knowing how we can soften our hair and take care of it personally. For example, my products are soften the hair, yes, and make it easy for one to comb it and, detangle and spread it, but then we also teach women different ways in which they can soften their hair. For example, they can do a home egg, honey, and avocado treatment, which will automatically soften the hair and make it easy for one to pass their hands through and easy to style. And then oil it to keep it moisturized and beautiful. Our hair is not difficult to handle. It's just that we need to know the different ways in which you can handle it. When we put across this method to people, then life becomes easier. People I meet complain that they don't know how to take care of their hair. So we need to just find solutions and put word across and make it easy for people to know how to take care of their hair. That's where life is easier and better for everyone.
Well, thank you so much.
In the long run, Okay.
Thank you so much,
Cool.
Maxima.
Thank you too.
We do appreciate that
Okay.
information regarding shea butter and taking care of the hair. And she is the founder of Livara. It is a company that makes shea butter for ladies' hair specifically. That is for African hair like ours here. But let me get back to Josephine and Carol. When it comes to naturalistas, there's a tendency for naturalistas especially to say, oh, you know what, we can never do weaves, or we're never even in for it. But you know, when it comes to things between, or choosing between going natural and doing a weave, for the ladies who wear weaves, they tend to think that probably naturalistas are against the weaves. Are you against the weaves?
No, in fact, I'm one of those who like, if you're having a bad hair day, or it's easier for you to maintain your hair with a weave, I have no problem with it. My issue is what is happening under the weave. You know, are you moisturizing your hair? Are you oiling your scalp? Are you, you know, deep conditioning your hair? I have no problem with a weave. You know, even a wig, I have no problem with. You know, it's just what's happening under there. So, I mean, it's just hair. You know, just wear what makes you happy, what makes you comfortable.
Right. Carol?
I'm all about do you. Like, if you want to relax your hair, if you want to wear a wig, if you want to wear weave, braids, dreadlocks, it's your choice. So I think it's just, there's some people who may, of course, bring it out there that, oh, we're all natural, we're like the super people, we know what we're doing. No, I think we just need to get out of that box, that we're not really superhuman. We've just made a choice that everyone else has the free will to do so. So it's just do you. If you want to wear your hair relaxed, cool.
Right. All right, now let's connect to Dorothy Ngila, who is in South Africa. And Dorothy now has her hair locked. According to what she says, I think she's had it for since 2010. That's quite some years now. I think she's now in her 5th year with locks. But why exactly did she choose to go for the big chop? Dorothy, if you can hear me, why the big chop?
I did the big chop of my relaxed hair in 2006, and I was completely bald until 2010 when I decided to lock my hair. And I must say, I think that the perception that it elicited was quite interesting. My family was excited, but at the same time found it a little bit strange. And I remember my dad always was asking me, when are you going to get rid of your braids? Because he always thought that my locks are braids or whatever it is. Sometimes he still asks me that. But I think he's now gotten used to the fact that I wear locks.
All right, he's now getting used to the fact that you wear locks, and we'll be coming back to you so you can tell us how exactly your work environment. Dorothy works in an environment where they deal with science and technology, I think. Yes, and much as she calls herself an Afropolitan, I think in a way our work environment is not that receptive when it comes to Afro hair. Dorothy, how has it been for you in the workspace?
I think that the perception in my professional life as somebody who works in the science, technology and innovation sector has really been varied. I mean, I live and work in South Africa now, and that hasn't been a big challenge at all for me because the society is very accepting of natural black hair, whether it's locked or it's an afro or whatever. But I know that, for example, there's a lot of international research that shows that Black women who have hair that is more straightened are more likely to get promotions and get jobs and that sort of thing than people who have their natural hair. I think that for me, what has been interesting is to see how people often perceive you when you've been communicating with them for a long time and you meet with them. And then you have a conversation and they'll be looking at your hair and looking at what is coming out of your mouth, and there is just this sense of disorientation, or their body language can really tell you whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable and certain with this choice of your hair. I don't have any specific feelings in relation to women that wear weaves. I do think that it's a personal choice, but at the same time really believe that black natural hair is really beautiful, and the more of us who can carry it with the kind of grace that we do, the more it becomes natural that and comfortable in our workplaces and our school environments, that black hair is really beautiful, and I think we should encourage much, much more of that.
Well, thank you so much, Dorothy. I think she's put it quite very clearly, and saying, you know, sometimes people have to wonder, which side of you do they listen to? Do they look at your hair, or do they listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth? And then some people tend to get disoriented when they're trying to listen to you just because of the hair. And I think I find that very odd, knowing the fact that, you know, we keep talking about Africa rising and Africa this, Africa that. But if we're going to tell our own story, I think we should really start to tell it, even with the mere fact that our hair can still look as good as any other hair, whatever race it is across the world. So when it comes to issues to do with the workspace, has it inspired other ladies as well to take up natural hair? Have you inspired them in any way, Josephine?
Like in my sector, it's a very formal, you know, banking, you know, suit and tie, you know, like prim and proper, you know, everything tied back. So yeah, when I began my journey, as I said, we grew together with my colleagues. So now that my hair is much longer, they're like, oh, you mean actually hair grows, you know, natural hair grows, you know. So we've had like about, like I have colleagues who have locks in my workplace. I have people who have just setted out their afros. And so I've become more of like a vessel of knowledge, like, you know, what is my hair, you know, why isn't it doing this or the other, you know. So it's at least I'm not alone now, you know, so you can share, swap stories, and yeah. So,
right. And before I come back, so we can talk about the Kali Diaries, Carol, what is your experience? You work with an international company?
I work with an NGO.
An NGO,
so
exactly.
the NGO is sort of mid-formal. It's not too formal, but we have people who are natural as well. Even my boss is natural. So it's a bit more relaxed, but of course there's the people who are natural, some of them are still not sure what to do with their hair. So sometimes they'll see me wearing it straight, other times where it's all curled up and they're like, wait, yesterday you had straight hair, today, what happened? Like, how did you do that? So it's that just versatility of natural hair that people really don't understand, that are slowly coming to understand that natural hair can grow, as she said, and it's also very versatile. You can do a lot with it.
Right. Let's now go to Uganda and listen in to Florence Naluyimba, who is a journalist in Uganda. From the media perspective, what is it like growing your hair? We spoke to her earlier, and this is what she had to say.
Why have I chosen natural hair? First of all, this goes back decades, about 2 decades ago when my mother died. You know, she's someone I admired so greatly. And when she died, the only thing I could hold on to was her skirt, a long skirt, which I lost along the way. So I was like, what next can I have of my mother? Her hair. She gave me her hair. She had a very huge puff. So beautiful, so black. And then I was told that I look like her. So I was like, this is something which will remind me of her. Trust me, since then I decided that I always have natural hair. And I've been owning it since then. So I've never like pumped my hair. I've never done anything at all to abuse my hair. I call it hair abuse. How long have I grown my hair? Well, I've always had natural hair, like I've said, but of course, primary, secondary, we had to have it short, no long hair. But after senior 6, that's advanced level, I started growing my hair. People started pushing me into, you know, this world of dreads. There was a lot of negative connotations around having dreads. But then I was like, dreads, it's just hair. So how does it make me a bad person? How does it turn me into a rasta? How does it make me, you know, all those negative connotations they have around dreads. So yes, I started growing my dreads in November 2011. And this is how far we've come.
That's right, and it really looks beautiful. Those locks of hers, totally natural. They look very beautiful. But Florence, do you think that ladies who go natural probably have self-esteem issues?
Do we have self-esteem issues? Really? Who comes up with such? But have you heard of Nancy Kachungira? Hello, she has natural hair. She just won the BBC Komla award. Hello, I have natural hair. Self-esteem? I'm going to the London School of Economics and Political Science. Hair has nothing to do with, you know, self-esteem. Trust me, you could find someone who has it palmed, straightened, whatever. And trust me, they can't even express themselves. Do I look to you like someone can't express herself? Does it make me more African, less African? What? It makes me a human being. It's just a choice, I believe.
it's just a choice. And does she really look like she has issues with self-esteem? I really doubt that. But do you think maybe sometimes there's that stereotype that ladies with natural hair probably don't believe in themselves so much, so they want to use the natural hair bit to add a little bit of self-esteem to them? Carol?
I think it's a stereotype, just the way there's a stereotype for ladies who wear weaves. They're the ones who can afford all these things. And it's not necessarily in terms of class, or even the people who think natural hair people, oh, you, like you said earlier, you can't afford to even do your hair. So perhaps that's why you're figuring out this whole natural thing. But I think it's like also the lady from Uganda said that it's a personal choice.
Yes.
So it's just how you feel about yourself, no matter what your hair is. So it's not necessarily that all natural hair ladies have low self-esteem. No, I don't think so. Self-esteem, I think, is a personal thing. But if you have natural hair, I think my self-esteem actually grew when I returned natural, because I had an issue with my forehead. From when I was a child, I always used to be teased about my forehead.
Right.
And I was thinking, when I do the big chop, it will pronounce my forehead way more, you know. But later, everyone was like, oh, you actually look really nice in a short haircut. And I was like, this is actually working out. And my self-esteem just blew off the roof. So I think it just gives you a sense of you are loving your original sort of hair, and it boosts your self-esteem somehow.
Right. Let's talk about the media and the role that the media is playing to ensure that at least more women out there learn to appreciate their own hair, or their own Afro-natural hair. Are we doing enough?
Well, at least you're doing something, which is always a good place to start. It's also encouraging to see a lot of like media personalities, a lot of socialites, celebrities, as embracing their, their natural hair and being loud and bold about it. So from that perspective, as in at least there's, a voice out there for natural hair, there's a face as in towards, natural hair from the media, which many young people associate with. They're like, if so-and-so has natural hair, then hey, maybe that influence, as in someone can also see that, hey, it's something that can work out for me as well. Yeah, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done out there, because the people, what we are watching out there, the music videos, the events and whatever, there's still that whole standard of the hair has to be straight this way, flowing with the wind and, whatever. So there's still work to be done. So we need to change the perception. The perception, all right, Carol, do you believe the same?
I really do think so, because like she said, it all starts from a young age. When we were growing up, natural hair, remember there was a hot comb that we all dreaded, those dacks where your mother would apply a lot of dacks and your hair runs green.
Your hair trying to straighten
your hair, and you're combing and you're thinking, oh God, I'm in pain. But when more personalities are embracing natural hair, it makes a young girl think that perhaps, it's not too hard. Maybe if I just try it out. So I think the media is doing something. There has been progress, especially in Kenya. A lot of progress that we're seeing so many ladies now returning natural.
All right. But let's now hear the perspective of the gentleman. And I asked one of my colleagues here called Zinzi to go out to the streets of Nairobi and find out from the men what they think about the natural hair, or ladies going natural.
We are on the streets of Nairobi, and we want to find out what your thoughts are on women and natural hair.
As a man, I see, and whenever I see a natural hair, I see beauty. Like for a true African woman, it's normally shown by a true natural hairness, not like the weaves and other things that they normally put on their hairs. That don't define a true African woman.
For me, I'm not criticizing the weave or something like that, but it just depends with who you are. There's some people who look better with the natural hair, but others look terrible. So I can't date either.
In fact, I love women with natural hair. I believe in simple and keep it very simple and elegant. Putting on weaves and hiding behind masks is not a real way of portraying yourself. So natural hair all the way.
Those are the thoughts we have heard. Remember, if you're watching from home, you can tell us what your thoughts are on women and natural hair. Talk to us on Twitter using the hashtag #AfricaSpeaks.
Zinzi is also a naturalista, and probably reason why she was so passionate about that. But as we wind up, I would like to know from you, what would you like to see? You are the founder of Chale Diaries. What would you like to see going forward in regard to natural hair? And also, do you think that more and more of these meetings can be held in regard to what ladies need to do with their hair and how they can take care of it?
Yes, the Chale Diaries is actually a natural hair platform where we come together as the ladies. We discuss all things from the joys of natural hair to the frustrations of natural hair. We do have like a major annual meetup, which we started 3 years ago. We just had one in June. And so just seeing many women coming together, you know, to celebrate natural hair, to buy a few products here and there, and also just the knowledge that we receive as women with natural hair, how we can pass it on to our children, so that from a young age they're able to know how to appreciate and take care of their hair, but it starts with us. So the Chale Diaries, you can find us on Twitter, you can find us on Instagram, and you can find us on Pinterest as well. So jump on board.
Okay. And Carol, my final question to you is, you have family. Sometimes when you decide to do your hair at home, is it that easy? How do you juggle between, oh gosh, I'm conditioning this hair, and it probably is going to take some hours, and then taking care of the family as well?
It's that hard. It's just how you manage your time. So my wash days are always on weekends, and hoping there's no wedding that's following on, because that will mean I'll just forward it a bit ahead. But it's just because when I do my washing and deep conditioning, I make sure that is my time. That's like mommy time. So please, everyone, stay away for now. But I don't really take hours when I'm doing my hair, unless now when I'm doing twists. So I prefer to do my twists at night, and I do it when I'm watching TV, when the baby is asleep, just, you know, so it's just how you manage your time. You can easily do your hair. It's not that hard. Like Josephine said earlier, it's just understanding your hair, knowing what works for you, and just going with it. Because we've seen many ladies who return natural get so frustrated so fast, and they run to the relaxers and just say, you know, I can't deal with this natural business. But you just need patience in this whole natural hair journey. Understand, it's like really, it's like your child, understanding them and knowing what they need and just rolling with the punches.
Do you have bad hair days?
Oh yeah.
So many of them. I also have bad hair days, especially when I take out the braids and you know, you have to iron the hair every day. It tends to thin and wear out. But thank you, ladies, for joining us. It was such an honor having you talk about natural hair. And hopefully we can have more of this. When is the next Chale Diaries meeting?
We will, the major ones are always the last weekend of June, so next year, but watch out for the mini meetups, as in on our social media.
All right. Okay, Josephine Wanjohi is a banker, and Carol Oyola is a communications officer at APHRC. Right. You can visit their website as well and find out more about that. And also on Skype, we did have Maxima Nsimenta, who is the founder of Livara, from Uganda. She quit her job in the DRC to start her own company, and it's doing quite very well. You can also visit her website on livara.me or .me and find out more about that. And well, we'll now take a short break, but still to come, we have Africa Wise. How much do you know about Africa? And also we have Gams, our cartoonist, who's here to keep us up to date on what's happening around Africa.
Yep.
Sound check as you walk.
Yep. I hope you scanned all of them. I hope you scanned all of them.
What do you think? Then Gams with the video. Zawa.
I hope you scanned that, UG. South Sudan? South Sudan? You scanned? They scanned it?
Yes. Today we have everything. Someday. Welcome back, and you're watching Africa Speaks. Here we are determined to tell the African story, but also to check out just how informed you are about the African continent. And so on Africa Wise, we asked who was the second black president of South Africa. Michelle Ngele took it to the streets, and these are some of the responses. You will be amazed.
Who was South Africa's second black president?
Nelson Mandela?
Seriously, I never studied history in high school, so I don't know.
I don't know. From Mandela, alikuja Thabo Mbeki.
And that's a wrap up for today. Do join me next week, same time, same place, for another segment of Africa Wise. My name is Michelle Ngele. Back to studio.
All right. Thanks, Michelle. And who was the second black president of South Africa? The first one was Nelson Mandela, and the one who came after Nelson Mandela was Thabo Mbeki. And the third one, that is still president today, is Jacob Zuma. Well, now you know. Africa Wise comes to you on every edition of Africa Speaks. Now we have our cartoonist, Gams. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Always an honor having you. So you did us the best caricature of the week, I think I should say. I really loved this.
Okay, thank you.
So we've gone natural, and we can clearly see this is the First Lady, Margaret Kenyatta.
Yes.
So what was going through your mind when you were drawing this?
I really enjoyed doing this. Natural hair.
Yes.
Personally, I love natural.
You love
hair.
Natural?
Yes.
Okay, so between weave and natural, it's natural.
It's natural.
Let's move on now to the next one. And someone actually joked about this caricature and said, of all these successful ladies, there's no weave. And by the way, I don't mean no harm to everyone who's watching. These are very successful ladies. And so, yeah, they have their hair all natural, but let's move on now to something else. And here we go. All I can read from this is Beijing, China, and how Kenya is shining.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. This is the very current topical. Kenya is literally at the top of the world.
Yes.
What's going on?
Yeah.
I think we are still on top as we speak with 6 golds and a total of 11 medals, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we are superpower.
Right, we are indeed a golden superpower. And Julius Yego stamped that in as well today when he won gold as well with the javelin. And here we go. What is this about? Seeing some familiar faces. Looks like this, Tanzania.
Yeah, this is Tanzania, the presidential, the Kikwete succession. We have Magufuli, who is backed by the CCM, which is the ruling party.
Right.
And Lowassa, who defected. So it's going to be an interesting race.
Indeed.
TZ is somewhere where Kenya was back in when the opposition was trying to make a mark in the 90s, early 90s. Yeah.
Okay, and the lady over there is the ordinary citizen?
Is the voter.
The Mwananchi.
In Kenya we call Wanjiku.
Wanjiku,
yeah,
right. Okay.
The voter, yeah.
All right. Do we have anything else for today? Exactly. Yes. Here we go.
This is just what happened.
In South Sudan, right?
Yeah. Salva Kiir, he agreed to sign the peace deal. You can see the sign, it's peace,
yes.
But his shadow is showing the fist. Supposed to be
this is interesting,
peace,
yes.
So the shadow is depicting his reservations. Yeah. It's supposed to be peace, but it's feast.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we wrap it up. A deal was signed in South Sudan, and we'd like to say thank you all for your contributions. And I'd like to read maybe 1 or 2 responses. Liz Touche, at Liz Touche, you're saying...